Hey guys, this is the Betamax man here, and I'm gonna show you my CED collection. Not CD, CED, or capacitance electronics disc. CED for short. This was a format that came out back in it came out around 1980-81 when this format came out. Now, I believe they intended for this format to be released in the late 60s, but it just wasn't ready. They had to perfect certain things in order to make it a workable, viable thing for people to want to buy. Now you had, in 1980s, you had some choices. You either had videotapes that you could buy the trilogy on, or you can buy them on video disc. Now, videotapes, the two formats for the US and the UK, and Japan, of course, where you had beta and you had VHS. Then you had the video disc. So your two options for video disc would have been either Laserdisc, also known as like Laser Vision, Disco Vision. There were a lot of different names, but you either had Laserdisc or CED, which was capacitance electronic disc. And yeah, you pretty much only had those two options. And well, for video disc, you had videotape. So you had four options. You had beta, you had VHS, you had Laserdisc, and you had CED. And those were your four options for buying physical media in the 1980s. Now, I believe the last year for CED video discs was 86, so I believe. And so I do know that Back to the Future was released on this format. How do I know? Well, because I have it on this format. But anyway, this is about Star Wars. We're going to show off my Star Wars Trilogy on CED. I have done a video on this before, but I figured I would do an update video and on this, so this is what we're going to do. So we'll do an update. Let's take a look here. So you'll notice that the cover art is the same art used for the Laserdiscs. Now, the downside to CED is that these were pan and scanned. So these were full screen. The 4:3 aspect ratio was 4:3 back then. But this was pan and scanned. What they did was they lopped off both sides and zoomed in on the image, so it was cropped to fit onto a 4:3 standard television set. So with Laserdiscs, you had widescreen releases, which allowed you to see the whole entire image the way you would have seen it in the theater. But with CED and Betamax and VHS, pan and scan was your only option. Why didn't they have widescreen CEDs? Maybe if they would have, maybe the format might have survived a little bit longer. But, I don't know. Anyway, here we go, guys. Star Wars. This is actually, later on, it was titled A New Hope. But, this was back when originally it was just called Star Wars. So here we go. Here is part 1. And you'll notice that these are in the blue caddies. That's because I have the stereo versions. And yes, my particular player will play back stereo. So these are stereo. Now, some of them had the blue caddy with the white spine there, and I'll show you that in a minute. But here's Star Wars. Now we're going to take a look at the back here. You'll notice that it looks exactly identical to the pan and scan laser discs that were released. And this was time compressed. So they did do a time compression on the first, I believe that this movie ran just a few minutes over 2 hours. It was like 2 hours and 4 minutes or something, and I know they sped them up so that they could fit all on one disc, because they could only fit 60 minutes per side. And you have your side 1. You flip it over, and you'll have a stamp that says side 2. So there is number 1. Here is The Empire Strikes Back. Now, for some reason, the people at the factory got lazy and started to use the white caddies and put them into the blue sleeves. I don't know why they did that, other than maybe they were wanting to save on materials or something. I don't know. It's weird. But it is, in fact, stereo. And then later on, when the format was dying, they went back to the white caddies. Even for the stereo releases, they decided to go back to the white caddies. But they would still put the stereo on there. So this has got analog video and analog audio. This is strictly analog, but it does have Dolby Stereo. It's got, stereo, so, which is cool. Now, this is The Empire Strikes Back. And then there's the back of this. And they're not in too bad a shape. This one's got some bubbling of the artwork, or the artwork was glued to the caddy, and it looks like, some moisture or something that's gotten to the disc and kind of started to damage the material. But anyway, but yeah, this is a stereo release, and most of them were mono, and so there were not very many stereo releases that I'm aware of. I think it's a lot easier to find the mono releases. I had to search pretty hard to get the stereo release. I had to hunt and peck and hunt and peck and search and search and search, and then finally I found a guy selling the whole trilogy in stereo. It was a stereo release. Of course, there's the back. We already seen this. Now let's go with Return of the Jedi. Now, Return of the Jedi was not time compressed. In fact, I think Return of the Jedi is about 2 hours and 20 minutes long. So they had to put it on another set. of discs. So you actually have part 1 and you have part 2. Now, I believe the backing is different on both of these, but let's take a look. So here is the back of Return of the Jedi. Okay, you have this. So this is side or part 1. So there's 3 sides, 1, 2, and then the second disc, side 3, and the other side is blank. Now they might be the same picture. I thought maybe they were different, but no, they're the same picture. Okay, I thought maybe they might have had a different picture in the back, but they are exactly the same. So I was wrong. But these actually came from a seller that actually, well, he claimed, the guy I bought this from off of eBay claimed that he had bought these brand new back in the 80s. So supposedly I am the second owner of these discs. How cool is that? Anyway, but yeah, I wanted to kind of show you the discs and show you what they look like. See, these are in fairly nice shape. I keep them in a shelf, and what you want to do with these is you want to keep them straight up and down like this. You do not want to store them on the side or on the flat side. Store them up and down like this. Don't store them flat like this, because if you store them like this, what'll happen is that the caddy will press up against the disc that's inside this, and it will scratch and damage the disc. Now, CEDs had problems. They had problems with skipping, or problems where if there was a little bit of dust that got onto the disc, the stylus would actually skip or move ahead, or it would freeze. CED had quite a bit of problems. Now, I suspect that these problems are due to the age. I don't think that this format had this problem back when it was new, but I think now, because of the age and because of the... See, they actually put special lubricant on the discs from the factory, and I think that the lubrication that was put on the discs from the factory might be starting to dry up, and so that might be why, you know, some of them are skipping. That is just my theory, because I do know that grease will dry up after time. Grease does not stay forever, you know. So I suspect that maybe the lubricant that was used on the discs are starting to dry out, and therefore the stylus is getting stuck, or maybe there's, you know, some dust that gets onto the disc and causes skipping. That was the only thing that I didn't like about CED, but like I said, I'm pretty sure that this happened after the age. I don't think this was a problem when it first came out. Now, that dried up lubrication is just my theory. But, yeah. You know, I think I did buy... Number one, I had to buy it twice. And the reason I done that, I think, is because one of them had a problem with playing. And so I ordered it again. And I don't know where that other disc is. I think it's still down there. I just didn't grab it. But I also have all four of the Rocky movies. I have the first four. Rocky number 5 was never released on CED, but the first four were, and I do have those. And I also have Back to the Future. I have American Graffiti. I even have what's that movie called? Blade Runner. I have Blade Runner on CED, so I'll have to show you, do an update on my CED collection. I did the last CED that I picked up was the 10 Commandments, and I picked it up and it was brand new, factory sealed. So that was really neat. And when these discs are new, they play really well. I mean, they really play well when they're new. When they're new old stock and they're still sealed and they've never been opened, never been played, they actually play pretty good. But I still believe that the lubrication that was put on these discs from the factory has starting to dry up, and I think that's why, one of the reasons why we have problems with skipping, because even if you've got a really good player and you've got really good discs, you're still gonna have skipping occasionally. And like I said, I think that was just due to its age. I don't think it was present when it was new. If anybody that is subscribed to me, if anybody that was around back in 81 that has used this format, did you guys have this problem when it was new? Because I really would like to know. Now, of course, I completely missed out on the original trilogy, because I was born in July of 1986. So, I was born in 86, so that was like 3 years after Return of the Jedi came out, because that came out in 83. I was born in 86, but I was able to grow up watching the prequel trilogy. Now, my brother, he was 1 year old when Return of the Jedi came out. So, my brother was born in 82, so he would have been 1 or 2 years old when that movie came out. So, me and my brother did miss the original trilogy. But we were around, obviously, for the prequel trilogy. So I did at least get to grow up with the prequel trilogy. Anyway, I think these videos have went on long enough, and I'm sure I'm boring you guys with all this. But I thought, hey, you know what, I'll do a video, we'll do an update video on the CED format, and I thought, you know what, let's do that. Let's just update on the CED format. Now, some of the CEDs have this little handle that you can grab, this indentation of like a handle where you can grab the discs, but on some of the newer discs, you can see they did away with that. And so I don't know why they did that. Like, they should have kept that indentation, because it makes it so easy for your finger to grab a hold of, you know. Grab a hold of these, you gotta slide them out. You know, it's kind of hard with these. But I like the fact that this one has a little cutout for, you know, grabbing hold of it. But anyway, yeah, you want to store your CEDs like this. Just like with your records, and just like with your laser discs, you want to store them upright like this. Because like I said, if you got them stored this way, the weight of the other discs and the caddy will press down in and scratch the disc. So I would recommend not storing them this way. Anyway, this video has went on way too long, and I thought, well, why don't we just show them real quick and let you guys see what these look like. And you know, one of these days we'll have to play the first couple minutes of the video if I don't get flagged. Usually you'll get flagged for copyright if you show a movie for any length of time, like say more than a few seconds, then YouTube will hit you with a copyright strike. If you get enough copyright strikes, YouTube will take your channel down. They will take it down. They will suspend your channel, your account. So make sure that when you're doing these videos that you don't get hit with those copyrights, because like I said, you get enough of them, they will take your channel down. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed looking at these really cool CED discs, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.